Motor Trend just named this the 2026 Car of the Year. It's good, but is it perfect?
This is the 2025 Volkswagen Golf R. It starts at around $47,000, and this black edition with Euro package crests $53,000 with destination. Today we're going to show how conventional wisdom is mostly correct about this car through design and engineering. We'll try and fit a bike in the back to see how usable it is, but most importantly we'll take this for a drive where I'll discuss the one thing this car is lacking.
It will surprise no one that the Volkswagen Auto Group is taking an iterative approach to updating the styling of the Golf R. You look at all of their products, they're just slightly different versions of the last one. Look at the 911, it looks very similar in lineage, and you know what? They've taken the same approach here with the Golf. Slight tweaks here and there, and I think that's a good thing because this is relatively handsome and should age well. It's also worth noting that we are seeing this here in the Black Edition, which is a $1,300-ish option that will black out everything on the car. The badges, the wheels, of course we have the black paint, and it even gets a larger wing. Maybe the only complaint you could lob at this thing is the fact that it doesn't look that much different than the GTI. But what do you think about the looks of the Golf R? Leave a comment down below.
Two other notes about this car: that Euro package I mentioned earlier also gets you a titanium exhaust, and this Golf R gets slightly larger front brakes than the GTI with 14.1 front rotors compared to the GTI's 13.4.
Now, we've already noted that this is the Black Edition, but it's important to mention that that is strictly a cosmetic package. You're getting the same powertrain regardless of what version of Golf R you get. This is a 2-liter turbocharged engine making 328 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. It makes a ton of power at like the whole RPM range. This thing is no doubt a monster. And also importantly, there's no manual option here. It is automatic only, but it is a pretty good automatic. It has a DCT or dual clutch transmission. We'll have to see how good though it is out on the road. Now, the last thing to mention, of course, is fuel economy. This is relatively efficient. 21 city, 31 highway. Those are pretty good numbers for a daily driver. I bet you were thinking that one flaw I was talking about before is the interior, but no. As much as has been made about this interior that people claim that it's like so bad, I really don't think it's that bad. Like, yes, it's not perfect, but it's way more usable than people claim, and overall a nice place to be. It's not frustrating. I was just in a Volvo, and the ID4 does this, the ID Buzz does this, where you have 2 window switches for 4 windows and you have to hit another toggle switch to switch back and forth. That is awful. We still have 4 window switches here in this Golf R, so it's not gotten completely bad and they haven't gone completely crazy here. So let's talk about, the parts that aren't the best to use, but in my opinion are acceptable. You have these sliders here, which they used to not be lit up or were only backlit with like the lights on, but now they have a permanent presence to them. And you adjust them to adjust the HVAC temperature up and down, the volume control up and down. Would I prefer to have volumed up? Yes. Is this usable and do you get used to it? Yeah, it's just not the worst thing ever. And you also do have volume adjustment on the steering wheel, which makes up for that to a certain extent. So it's really not that big a deal. And you also have physical buttons here to get to some of your common features. The climate control, as I mentioned, the mode button to change your driving mode. You do that here. It's pretty easy. And obviously this car has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's wireless. So you're mostly in that, but even when you're dealing with the Volkswagen menu structure, it's pretty simple, relatively quick to respond, really not that bad. I guess I went into this expecting it to be the worst based on what some people have said. Now, what's nice about this interior is the fact that it's pretty well built, way better than the GR Corolla that I just got out of a couple weeks ago. Now, the Civic and the Elantra have gotten a lot better and a lot closer to this, but this still does seem to pretty much be the gold standard. Decent amount of tire noise from this, which I wasn't expecting, but the wind noise is pretty low. You're getting things like a Harman Kardon sound system in here, which is pretty decent. Wireless charger, which is something you would expect at this point. No top-down camera angle, but you do get parking sensors, which does help. And outside of a little bit of piano black here in the center, these materials are pretty okay, I would say. I like this carbon fiber across the dash. It's pretty unoffensive and kind of just gets you what you want. It's simple. As well, this steering wheel is a nice size and shape. I like the blue stitching. I really like how it's a thick rim, and then you have the paddles here, which are pretty decent to use as well. So overall, this is a pretty nice interior, and I don't see what all the fuss is about that some people have claimed previously. Now these seats, these are the Euro seats, and I quite like them. They are very much better than the GR Corolla seats that I got out previously. Civic Type R seats probably still the best in the industry, at least in this category, but this has manual lumbar support or adjustment, which I do really enjoy as an old person, and this is meant to be the sort of mature choice. You know, love the color, love the plaid. They feel high quality. They feel like they'll hold up. Now the back seats, I can also sit behind myself at 6'1", so there's plenty of usable space in this cabin here, and that is a bit of a German thing, right? You know, Germans tend to be tall, so you need that extra headroom. Let's try and throw a bike in the back to see how usable that hatchback is.
Level setting before we evaluate the Golf. Out of the Elantra N, GR Corolla, and Civic I tested, the Civic is the only vehicle big enough to fit this bike without disassembly. So how does the Golf do? Well, the seats do fold flat, and that gives you a nice usable space in the back. However, the rear opening still isn't big enough to clear the handlebars on this bike. The Civic still reigns supreme in terms of usable hot hatch, but the Golf is a close second compared to the others. As always, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button so you don't miss future videos.
So what is the Golf R like to drive on the road? Well, it's sort of whatever you want it to be. This thing is so insanely capable. And it really all starts first with this engine. This engine has been around for like ever, of course, multiple iterations. And that's the beauty part about it, is that VW, Audi, Volkswagen, whatever you want to call them, they've sort of perfected it. I mean, it's a 2-liter, it makes insane power, but the torque curve is so flat, and it still pulls all the way to redline. So even though you get like really low down torque from this thing, which is nice for daily driving, it's nice up here to get quick response from the engine. Make sure no one's around this corner. But it just has power everywhere. I mean, they've perfected it, and probably best in class in terms of absolute output, of course, right? Like in terms of efficiency. And the other aspect about this car, other than once you get beyond the engine and the speed, is the transmission. No, it does not offer a manual, and that is a non-starter for some people, right? Like if you want a manual, you have to go with any one of the other hot hatches. But what I will say about this automatic is that of the automatics that are offered, it is definitely the best. It is the best calibrated. It is quick to respond. It's good on a daily basis. It's not one of those transmissions that's like clunky around town and at low speeds. I'm in manual mode. And you know what? Here's the thing. I love a manual transmission as much as the next guy. And there is nothing here that like you can replicate a manual transmission, but you're getting a different experience. A good automatic transmission will give you a different experience in a sports car. Of course, it's not a manual. You get a different, you're not as connected, but the shifts that it pops off are something you can't replicate in a automatic, or in a manual, excuse me. So you think about like the really good ones. A Porsche PDK is like that. The dual clutch from Audi Volkswagen is like that. It gives you an experience that you can't experience in other cars. So while yes, it's not a manual, it's really cool. And then the other aspect about this car that's so good is the suspension. This is an adaptive suspension. You have this sliding scale here where you can kind of go from there's a fine margin, or a wide margin, I should say, of comfort all the way to sport. And that's another thing that this car does best in class. We're hearing all these things best in class, right? There's a reason for that. It's compliant in the comfort setting. I mean, even all the way cranked up, it's not that bad. And this is something that I really wish the Civic Type R would take note of, is the car doesn't need to be like crazy stiff to have a good time. The Civic Type R, unless you're on smooth as glass, like racetrack, it's way too firm for like pretty much every setting. This one has so much more depth to it. It's comfortable on a daily setting, but you get up here, you hit it in R mode, you could go firm up the suspension. We're getting more sound here. I'm gonna go back to my custom mode. My custom mode has the suspension not turned all the way up because I want a little bit of compliance. I want a little bit of lean. It's all about contact patch. You don't want to be bounced off the road. But even in this, once again, this car's most aggressive setting, it's not that bad. So from a daily basis, the suspension is better. Up here, the suspension is great. Definitely best in class. And the inputs are good. The brakes are good. So I'm singing this car's praises, right? And I've alluded to this one flaw. What is the one flaw? And some people may roll their eyes when I say this and maybe say like, oh, all these like journalists say things like this, but it just lacks the character. This is a German car problem, I know, where it's like so competent, but it's like it's clinical in its approach. This car is ballistically fast. Like, you can keep up with a supercar on a road like this. This car is so capable. But capable doesn't always necessarily correlate with character. So what do I mean by that is, like, you know, the steering is incredibly direct and quick. It's good, but it has no feel. When you're going through a corner, there's like this crazy vectoring going on, and you could tell that the car is sorting a lot of things out for you. It's one of those cars that it's like a GTR, right? Where it will get you around a racetrack as fast as possible, but it's not so much you doing it. You're kind of just playing a video game. And look, that doesn't, like, that's not necessarily a problem for some people. When we compare this to something like a GR Corolla, I'm picking this car 9 times out of 10 because objectively it's better 9 times out of 10. It's faster, it's more compliant, the suspension is way better, but you don't feel as much. That car has more of a mechanical connection to it, the way it's set up, and less electronic wizardry than this car. So it just depends what you're after. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, I'm picking this car. For the money, it's more comfortable as well. It's way better built, but it doesn't have this sound. It doesn't have the growl of that weird 3-cylinder in the GR Corolla. It doesn't have as much bypass and induction noise as that GR Corolla. And even some of the other cars, like the Elantra N, has more of a fun factor to it. This is a clinical car. So if it has one flaw, it's almost that it's meant to be too good, right? It's too good at everything. And once again, that sounds like an insane thing to say, right? Do not get me wrong. Do not misconstrue this. I am not saying that this car sucks because of that, because it absolutely does not. This car is incredible. But if it's just one of those things, like, it depends on what you value. As a one car for everything, this is it, for sure. No doubt. But if you're looking for like a second fun car, I think there's cars with more character that, like, on a fun car basis, which is occasionally, that do it a little bit better. But I am absolutely blown away by this car in terms of the speed, what they've been able to achieve. And as a owner of previous generation GTIs and a Mark 6 Golf R, like, it's just an iterative approach, and they've just gotten better and better with time. So overall, fantastic car. One car to rule them all. $50,000. Sure, I get it. If you made it this far in the video, guys, thank you very much. What do you think? Do you think I'm off base here, saying that it's less fun because it's so good? Is that a wild take? Let me know in the comments below. I hope to see you guys on the next one. If you made this far in the video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I'll see you next time. Peace.